Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Power of Now. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
Tonight, we're so glad you decided to join us as we talk about action, committing to commanding more out of 2024. We want to just talk through some of the things that we've experienced, some things that we've seen, and just to touch base to make sure that we're encouraging you, we're motivating you, and offer you any type of assistance in helping you achieve the growth that you want to see in your life.
Yep, absolutely. And as always, we hope that you get engaged, in this process and in this conversation. And when you join, please let us know. What's the procedure that you do? Go on Facebook? Yeah. You said there's a link or something.
Yeah, just go ahead. At the top of your screen, you should see grant StreamYard permission to see your name. All that does, if you click on the link, it just allows us to see your name so that we're not seeing just Facebook user, and we can acknowledge your presence with us tonight. So if you're on Facebook, just click on the StreamYard link. It's not copying any of your information. It's just granting StreamYard access to show your name in our stream.
Yes. So anyway, here we are on the 9th day of the new year. And pretty much know that that's when people's motivation and, the drive to make changes, it starts to wane, and they eventually give up. So our first question is, are you still, first of all, did you start with good intentions for 2024? And how are you making out? Do you still feel empowered, encouraged, motivated, or have you already hit that first wall?
Right. That's so important because you can get so caught up in the, mundane processes of life, and then the mundane data that you're seeing just fed to you constantly on social media platforms. And it's easy to throw your hands up. But we're here to let you know that it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. There are some actions that you can take if you just commit to being disciplined enough to walk through the process.
Yes. So, you want to start with one of the basic bits of advice that's normally given when you're trying to make a change. We'll say, there's an improvement, there's a change, and there's a transformation. Is you really want to start out with your why, because that will keep you going. The old quote that once you have your why, you can endure any how, which basically, it says when you know why you're doing something, that gives you that motivation because you keep putting the answer, to your why in front of you, and that will help get you back up and going when you do feel a little deflated, because it's going to happen. And that's the other thing. It has nothing to do with you. Everybody goes through it. They say, the greats all have that moment where they want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take it personal, but you do want to stay in the game. We experience that all the time. And, there are things that I've started and stopped. Started with great intention, and then you just get like, don't want to be bothered. Then you got to start up again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never too late to develop a growth mindset. And that's why we felt it very important to come on to help encourage you as you, go along your journey, to help keep you motivated, because we know how challenging it is. Because as entrepreneurs, as business people, we know the challenges that, and the obstacles and roadblocks that may come up, but you can recalibrate and reset those, look at those challenges as opportunities.
Yes. You just mentioned something that's real important. A lot of instructors have been out there talking about it for a few years. Corporations have now, worked it into some of their training. But that term growth mindset, it's part of my level up thinking that I, put together years ago. And it's amazing that not everybody has a growth mindset. And for those who may not be familiar, to put it, the quick definition is a growth mindset is the thought process that you can always learn and become better. That's really, the short definition,
Right.
versus a fixed mindset, where some people have that. A lot of people like, this is who I am. I'm stuck, and this is going to be me forever.
Right.
I don't need to learn anything, or I can't learn anything.
Right.
So,
And even the old cliche that you can't teach a dog new tricks.
right.
Well, that's not true. And secondly, we're not dogs. Right.
Correct.
So as long as we're walking on two legs and we are considered mammals, right? We have the propensity to learn. So no matter the age, no matter where you are, no matter where you stand, you can develop a growth mindset.
Yes.
It is a learned behavior.
Something else that I didn't really connect the dots until a few years ago,
What's that?
which is when you're on this journey of transformation, your energy levels are critical. Your physical and mental energy levels, because that's what really kind of fades away when you're feeling down and out. I'm gonna say it's your mental, your physical, and your emotional. And if you're in the right long enough, your spiritual, they all basically, it's like they evaporate. And you're gonna need all of that to keep you going. And I learned that probably one of the best places to start is with your diet to get that physical energy. And we won't go into it, but just make a note of that if you're finding yourself that you're just not motivated, it could possibly be you need to make some changes to your diet. It could be as simple as you're not drinking enough water.
Absolutely.
Not to overcomplicate it, but the takeaway is, check your physical diet. Maybe you need to exercise or move a little bit more, but that could be the cause of why you're feeling like I don't want to do this anymore.
So, Coach, let's talk a little bit about some of the accomplishments that, our personal accomplishments, so that individuals can get an idea of what we mean by just persevering and having that growth mindset in different areas and sectors of our lives.
Well, you want to go first?
I'm writing a book. My first book, my first published work was a spiritual journal. So I'm writing a book, and I have been able to complete another chapter just in the last 30 days. And Coach and I are working on a project that we hope to launch in 2024. No, we don't hope to launch it. We're going to launch it in 2024. And I have completed, I developed a model, and I've completed the training guide for that model. So even though we may not be working in tandem on the same components of this project, and he may not know that I'm working towards, completing a particular task or goal towards the launch, the work is being done. And the point I'm making is you have to be disciplined, and you have to be committed to doing just a little bit, doing a little bit every day, or at least within the week or the month. You don't want to find yourself looking back, not having to even start it. So remember what our mantra is. If you do not start now, there will be no next, or there can be no next, or your next is going to look like your now, which is stagnation.
Yes. So, for me, it's finally going back to, I had some unconnected things, and I said, I have all this content that I've accumulated, but it's not any place where I can easily share it. So one of the things I've been doing since New Year is really getting the content together and putting it out there, or setting a foundation so that it can easily be shared. And again, to help with the engagement. Now, most of you know that, my brand is called I Am, and it stands for I Am Possible Mall. It's kind of a play on the word impossible that's been broken up into I Am Possible. And it was, it's comprised of a portfolio of brands. And some of the brands kind of faded away, the pandemic, and then other things got in the way. And I only focused on a couple. But here's the strangest thing is outside events started occurring, and it made me realize, well, I already had really built the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's, honestly, it's going to sound egotistical, but now everybody's catching up to me. Because when I first rolled these things out, there was no interest. And now I'm seeing it build up. So now I'm almost like playing catch up with myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I've been working on, putting things out there. And again, you've heard us talk about, one of the recent things is growing our own food. That's becoming huge now. So now I'm trying to get all the knowledge that I've learned and all the resources that I've learned and put them in a place where I can easily share with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, really been doing that and, working even harder on my own health and wellness, and also getting that information out there. So it's been really, for me, the focus has been, for this year is bringing, the I Am Possible Mall concept to light. And also to meet my deadline, because I have a huge deadline goal set for 2024. And so I have some catching up to do to be able to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't put it out there just yet, but, I'll put it this way. 2024 is a year that I plan to actually break ground. I'll just leave it like that. So we're going to see how this plays out.
Well, all right now. I can't wait.
Yep.
But the underlying theme here is being consistent.
Yes.
And continuing with the commitment to just do the work. And if you can do that, then whatever you set your mind to is possible. That's the takeaway. And I think, Coach, also having accountability partners will help, because when you become demotivated, it actually impacts your psyche, and it just takes a lot of energy from you. And when you're, again, you can't say it enough, when you're looking at what everyone else is doing and you're becoming overwhelmed, you have to take a step back, because that can put you in a position of feeling like you're not capable and feelings of incompetence. You have to forgive me. I have my Invisaligners on, so I have a little speech impediment tonight. I'm trying to talk over my liners, but you have to remember that everyone was created to create.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is just tap into that part of yourself that's begging for something more, that's begging for something different, that's just pleading, knocking to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talk a lot about journaling, and, it may seem like it's oversaturated, overutilized, but it is a great tool to really sit and get to discover who you are and what it is that you really want out of this life.
Yes. With that, being said, we just transitioned from, like I said,
Excuse me.
into a new year. And one of the things you want to kind of, first of all, you want to, come and actually say, how am I doing so far this year? Am I still on track? And if not, give yourself a moment to, we say, rest. You want to find that some quiet time. You've heard me stress this before, because it's really important to really think. Oh, bless you.
Excuse me.
Recalibrate. Give yourself a chance to also restore. And you want to do this mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Now, on a physical level, this is something, again, which just having an exchange with someone the other day. I was going to say, I might have been over the week. I don't even remember. But when it comes to your body, We were talking about we tend to eat too often, too much, and too long, meaning we eat throughout the day. And some people eat right before they're going to bed. And what that does is it never gives your body a chance to recover or restore or to heal, because your body's only in two modes. It's either rest or digest. If your body's constantly digesting, it's not, resting, and resting is where it restores. The same thing applies to other areas of our life, which is why, you want to take that time, and that doesn't mean like take 2 weeks or a week, but you do want to give yourself a moment, if it's just a few, moments every day, and really begin to think about what is it that you're trying to accomplish this year. And that's why I shared the exercise, after last week session, and unfortunately I didn't get anybody engaged from this group, but it was, by writing something down, that also acts to accountability.
Absolutely.
We'll say that's like the first, that's like the first level. And something before that, that's really important. They say, in order to do something that you've never done, you got to be somebody that you've never been. Well, how do you become somebody that you've never been? First is you have to change your language, because they say your language changes, a change in language changes one's consciousness. So, which is why the affirmations work, why people talk about the vision boards and visualizations, but all that is to really get you to change your language.
Correct.
So that self-talk is really important, and being around other people that share your goals, your visions, and who you want to be, because your conversations, that's all part of changing that language, to change your consciousness, to become the person that you're trying to be.
Right. And even if they don't share your goals, they support you in what you do. And that's important, to have a big support system.
Yes.
And that mutual support goes a long way in keeping you motivated and on track. We really encourage you to take a moment after this call, early tomorrow during your me time or your quiet time, and set a goal for 2024 if you haven't done so, because it's so important to have something to work towards and to measure. And like Coach Darren said, if you have a vision board, create that vision board and take one thing off of that vision board and work towards achieving it this year.
And like I said, when I take people through the process, and I've kind of been doing this approach for a while, is you can categorize or compartmentalize areas of your life, and that also helps in terms of deciding what you want to accomplish. And if you on the I Am Well page, I have it broken up into 10 categories. But I would say, start out with the most important ones is, what goals do you want to have? If you're still working, what goals do you want to have in your career? What financial goals do you want to have? Which social goals do you want to have? Social meaning what kind of connections, just social relationships. And that includes family, friends, colleagues, whatever it may be. And naturally you have your health, goals, and then, underneath there's like your important ones really is your physical, your mental, your spiritual, and your emotional goals. All those need to be nurtured in a way that makes you feel whole. Because if those are broken, any one of those are broken, you won't experience optimal health. If you don't have optimal health, and that's a relative term, but if you don't have that health, then everything else almost becomes secondary, or really almost irrelevant, depending on how bad your health becomes.
Right, because you feeling good about you makes all the difference.
Yes.
Because then you're not depending on external sources to validate your value. And you are valuable. And I think, we'll talk about accountability partners a lot, because if you have somebody that you can confidently confide your ideas in and share what your goals are, you'll find that that accountability partner can help move you past some of those moments when you just want to walk away. You know, back in, don't remember back when, but about 10 or 15 years ago, when I went back for my master's, there were two other young women, and we made a pact that we would be accountability partners. And we would encourage and motivate each other to persevere, because what we were doing was really aggressive. We did not take a modified master's course. We took a full loaded curriculum master's course, and we committed to doing it in 12 months. Now, if you've ever done your master's, you know that that was a very heavy course load. And there were mornings that we would cry at 2 a.m. trying to get through projects because we had 3 to 5 courses each semester, and we doubled down in the summertime. So it was a goal that we set, but without my accountability partners, I wouldn't have made it. And all 3 of us graduated cum laude. So again, having those support systems in place is critical moving forward in 2024. So if you haven't gotten one, and you know, my word this year is release, because I hold tight and play it close to the vest, as they say. I don't let people in, but this year I have to do it differently if I want it to work, and I want to win. So
the accountability partnership, like I said, which is again something why I put the exercise out there. I framed it so that people would see this was a process that would basically hold them accountable, because by sharing it, even if, like, I shared something, earlier, and I was a little hesitant because, like, okay, I'm going to pull this off this year. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to share it anyway, because this is also part of changing the language, to change the consciousness, so that I become the person that needs to meet that goal, because it's a huge goal. But, having those accountability partners will help you, like I said, in those moments. Now, you can have intentional accountability partners. And I never thought about this, but when you were sharing your experience being in your master's program, it took me back to, for me, it was undergrad, where, I was in that institution where pretty much you were always struggling about, I need to get out of here. I can't take this. It was just the type of school it was. So me and my friends, we always look back and think about, we became really close because we've seen each other at very low points where one of us wanted to quit. And then the other ones would always encourage you, you can't do it. And they would give you a bunch of reasons. And you're like, okay, you finally would give in. We never really called ourselves, I don't even think though the term accountability was in our vocabulary then, we never thought about it in terms of being there for one another. So I kind of look back at that as that those were passive. Nobody signed up to be your accountability partner, just maybe the friendship. Or sometimes people just know why you need to hang in there for you.
right.
Why you're doing what you're doing. It could be for health reasons. It could be for family. It could just be because it's something that you've always wanted. They just know it, how important it is to you. So they're going to encourage you, even if they were not your true accountability partner. So your accountability partners don't necessarily have to be somebody who actually signs up for the job.
Right. Right. Because you can just have those individuals in your life who just want to see you win.
Yes.
And they're going to encourage you, and not just encourage you, but offer insight on things that you may want to do or not do.
Yes.
So it's very important. And, I have a side goal, and not that I'm really ready, but, I've always wanted to be 2 things: a lawyer and a forensic scientist.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I would go back to school in 2024 if I had a sponsor, and I would go for my law degree. I would go and get my JD. So if anybody's listening and they want to pay, I promise you I would complete that degree program if you pay for it. I promise you. But anyway, my point is those are things I haven't lost sight of. Now the forensic scientist, yeah, that's a done deal. Good evening, Sister Tiffany. Hey, Brother Jesse. Thanks for joining us tonight. The forensic scientist, yeah, that's, overload capacity on the brain that's diminishing a little bit, but I definitely go back to law school.
Which, like I said, having those types of goals, I don't know, I almost think it keeps you kind of young. There's a useful aspect of still having those huge goals because it's going to challenge you. And that's what you constantly want. You want to be challenged. And again, the challenge, it is relative. So what might be challenging to one person may not be challenging to someone else.
Right.
So when you're going back to your goal setting, you want to make sure that you have goals in there that is going to make you become a new person in order to accomplish them, as we're just speaking about a little while ago. In that, you also want to have some easy goals, because that's what's going to keep you motivated. Is those small goals that you can accomplish and check off, because something psychological about saying, yeah, I got that done. I got that done.
Right. I cleaned out my closet. It can be as small or, insignificant, if you will, to some, but surmountable to others because it's something that they have never done. So I think that's a great point. Hit that low-hanging fruit, but you also want some stretch goals in there.
Stretch goals, absolutely.
You want to push yourself because you really want to be in that frame of mind, to have that growth mindset, to constantly be striving to achieve.
Yes. And part of this, we talked about changing your language, your self-talk. You also want to factor in how much are you learning? What are you reading? One of the things saying about, the content putting out there, like I started putting out there the recommended books, like I, put out on the, I'm part of called a media club. It originally started as a book club, but it became a media club. And we would read things. Last year was all about raising, one's level of consciousness. So I would share things within the group. Now I'm deciding to start sharing with other people. And I, posted it on one of the Facebook pages, and we'll start sharing more of the books that, recommended reading. So whatever your, reading preferences are, you want to make sure you're getting some of that in. If you're on the web, if you're on social media, you want to make sure that you're using that platform for education.
Especially LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, definitely take advantage of the courses that they offer. Great learning platform, especially if your organization sponsors some of those trainings, because you can get certifications. And you don't have to come out of pocket for most of the content, that they're offering. So, we encourage you to take advantage of that. Tiffany says she loves to read. Yeah, we are readers as well. Coach Darren is an avid reader, but, I used to go through books 4, 5, 6 a week. That slowed down after my master's program, because I'm sure you can understand why. But I've gotten back into the habit of picking up a book at least once a week and reading. So, like you said, constantly take advantage of the resources that are available to you, especially the free ones.
Yes.
Can't beat free.
Yep, absolutely. I really got into the free stuff probably around the pandemic, where you had time to really sit, you had time to sit. And I came across a few things, and then one thing led to another. Now, recently, kind of came across something else. And for those who get on Facebook, if you're not getting these advertisements, then it's kind of unfortunate. But I started getting advertisement for free books. And once I signed up for one or two, I just kept getting more and more advertisements. Now, most of these, they're coming out before the books are published. And with the author's giving the book away, and the only thing they're asking in return is, can you give me a quick review?
A review. That's
a review.
it.
But again, it's a free book. Now sometimes I just have to kind of scan the book because between the time I got it and the time they want the review is really short. But again, it's a free resource, and again, you have it to come back later. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And I find that with the internet, it's just a wide resource between YouTube. And the other one too, and I've heard so many people say this, that they've learned so much on TikTok. Something that originally came out and it was kind of, that's for young folks, has now turned out to be a extremely powerful educational tool.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all depends on what you're attracted to, what you gravitate to. But you want to definitely make learning part of your journey because, as Coach Mitchell said, it's about a growth mindset. You should be somebody different, not the essence of who you are, but certain outlooks, maybe certain things that you already know, should know even on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
But that there should be some growth between, now and the end of the year.
Exactly. And, I think Tiffany said, so many books, so little time. That put me in mind of a Twilight Zone episode. What was his name? Mr. Dwiddle? Whatever his name was. But he loved to read. And Little Doomsday Story, he, was the last man on earth. And he found himself in the library reading when the bombs went off. And when he came out, he was just surrounded by all of his books. And that made him happy. But he dropped his glasses, stepped on them, cracked them. So imagine being in a position where you had all the time, all of the opportunity, and you dropped the ball right at the very end. So let's maximize the moments that we have now. And, Jesse said he tries to view videos that give him a healthy balance, overall on his timelines. Absolutely. We have to do that because otherwise, when we look around, we see a dumbed down society.
Mm-hmm.
And, not being derogatory or putting anyone down, but people don't think for themselves anymore. They can't think through or critically analyze a sentence if you put it in front of them and pretty much pointed them to where things needed to line up, and it's just unfortunate.
Yes.
Unfortunate. And if you have kids, I highly suggest you sit them down at least one day a week in a corner with a book.
Mm-hmm.
In a corner with a book.
So, I would even challenge you more for yourself and your children as well, is set a daily goal to read 10 pages of a book, Absolutely. 5 pages of a book. Because if you do that, then at the end of the month, you probably will have completed a book.
Absolutely.
And then you keep increasing. And you want to kind of do that for other areas of your life as well. If you're starting out, because they say doing one is better than doing none. So if you read one page, if you write one page, if you do one push-up, you make these small changes that, again, they will accumulate over time. So that's another, approach. The other thing I was just
going to interject, and then it becomes a part of the norm.
Yes.
You don't even think about it; you just do it. And that's where we're ultimately trying to get to, just doing it.
Yes.
Just do it. Like I said, maximize the moment.
Yes. That's the other thing. I have two thoughts. I hope I don't lose one of them. But I want to kind of go back because when you mentioned, Jesse's comment, it just made me think something else we don't want to omit from our life. And I find myself doing this because I'm constantly, listening to, personal, professional growth. Every once in a while, not every once in a while, regularly, you got to incorporate music into that, as part of your program, because that's important too for multiple reasons, but you want to make sure that you find time to listen to music and you find time to listen or at least read or watch something funny that's going to make you laugh. Music will make you dance, and then some comedy or whatever will make you laugh. Both of those will add to your health and wellness, your energy levels, and that will also help to keep you going. You ever wonder why people wear headphones when they're in the gym or they're running? That's the power of music. So you don't want to miss out. What kind of music is totally up to you.
I make my own music.
Yeah.
And I dance to it too.
So,
Dr. Holcomb, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, she does.
I do. I'm not making it up.
But yeah, you want to definitely make sure you incorporate music into your, your daily, routine or into your routine. So, yes, I know it's going to get out of the thought, but that's all right. It'll come back.
It'll come back.
So, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Finish
So,
what you were saying.
So just again, we're going to do a quick recap before moving on and give me time for that thought to come back. Again, start off small, whatever it might be. You've heard me say before, you want to change your environment so that's conducive to the person that you want to be. Again, this is based on the principle that in order to do or be, or to have something you never had, to do something you've never done, you got to become a person that you've never been. That is just the way it is. Because you can't, stagnation is a result of who you are. So to change that, to get that momentum, you got to start working on becoming a new person in some area of your life. And again, how do you become a new person? You start with the language. Again, the self-talk. You got to be, being around other people and having those conversations will do wonders for you.
Absolutely. And you have to be compassionate and gentle with yourself. Excuse me.
Yes.
You have to be compassionate with yourself. If you're constantly talking down and putting yourself down, you want to change that narrative, because that self-talk is very important. And if the self-talk is critical or negative, then you're not going to be able to move forward.
No. So, we talked about your energy levels, how important they are. And our energy levels, where do they come from? They come from our health, which is why we can't dismiss it. If we're not taking care of ourselves, our energy levels they're not going to be up, and they're not going to be sustainable. And what do? We, like to, drink the Mountain Dew. I'm still seeing people drink Mountain Dew or the coffee. Well, that doesn't last long, and it really ends up having, an adverse effect in the long run.
In so many different ways.
Yes.
In so many different ways.
But you want to kind of start at the, fundamentals. I'm trying to do something. I'm in this for the long haul. I need to have the energy to sustain myself. Because if you're making big changes, they're going to be exhausting. So you have that as well. We talked about the growth mindset.
Setting goals and committing to them, creating a vision board or journaling, but at the very least, set a goal and commit to achieving them.
Yes.
That's critical in 2024. That's critical right now.
Yes.
It's critical in this moment.
I did, before we started getting people on a live session, I put it out there, have you found yourself already kind of just letting 2024 be a continuation of 2023 and not in a good way? If you were in a power, in a power play position in 2023 and you have momentum going and you're carrying it over, awesome. But if there was something in 2023 that that you needed to, step up, and you said, I'm definitely doing it in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
you came in on the first day or two, I'm going to do this. Have you already just said, you know what, I'll deal with it some other time?
The first week is critical because it flies by so quickly. We have that day one, most people have off, and most people are recovering from the night before. So they're not actively doing anything towards maximizing the moment towards setting a goal. It's all about recovery on day one. And then you have the second through the fourth, the fifth, and you've lost traction.
Yes.
Because the time flies by so quickly. It's like, oh wow, this week is already gone and I haven't done XYZ. I'll get to it. That's that same mindset that we had previously. We'll get to it. We can't afford to get to it anymore.
Nope.
It's like if you have, kids, or if you have, staff members, someone, you're asking them to do something and they tell you they will, they would, they are, they're gonna. I was going to do that. I used to tell my son, I would love for you to bring your friends by so I can meet them, because it's been so many years that you've been telling me about them and I haven't met them. And he said, well, what friends are you talking about? Most of my friends I bring home. I said, the ones that you don't bring home are would've, I was, and I'm gonna. Because it never happens. It never happens. So my point is, move beyond the excuses.
Yes.
Move beyond the I was, I'm gonna, and I'm going to. Get to it. Get to it.
Yeah. So you have to this comes back to what was being in the moment. Because when you come in a moment, that's when you have that opportunity to really talk yourself into doing that thing that you should be doing. You told yourself that you had to do it, but yet you're not. So in that moment, it's like, okay, you know what? Let me go, and it can be something like simpler. Let me go prepare my meal for tomorrow, or let me go exercise. Let me go pick up that book. Let me go write down my goals, which I've been putting off. So in those moments, where it's right at the forefront of your consciousness, you want to then just, take advantage of that. Let me just go do it. That will actually send, and this is a whole thing about, building, really good habits. It's going to send an impression to you again, to your consciousness, which is almost a good feeling.
Right.
That's why the small goals are so important, because it gives you a feeling like, okay, I accomplished something.
Right. The endorphins kick in because, like you said, it's like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that. And I don't have to do it later.
Correct.
I don't have to do it later.
And this, again, it really doesn't matter what it is, and you use the example of cleaning out your closet. Yeah, it's something that's been nagging you, because all those little things will actually drain you, because you're like, okay, I always say, oh gosh, you got all these unfinished projects. Let me go knock one or two out. And I got into the habit of, I'm going to do a little bit of several things, in a given day. Or, the other method is, if something is out of place, you walk by it, just pick it up, carry it to where it needs to be,
Absolutely.
Put it in place, and just keep doing these little things, and then you'll start to see the difference. In this way, you don't feel like, okay, I got to take out, 2 or 3 hours out of my day to clean my closet. Well, you know what? Every time you go to your closet, you see something out of place, put it in place. You talk about we want to do, we donate our clothes or old things, and it's I'm going to. Nope. create a bag.
Yep.
You know, every time you go to your closet, you see something, instead of saying, I'm going to block off this amount of time, which becomes difficult, just squeeze it in a little at a time if that works for you.
Absolutely. And I think we started doing that, especially after the move. The purge was real. The purge was real. So instead of, like you said, spending 8 to 10 hours a day cleaning the closet, you do it as you go along. Every day, something goes in the bag. If I come across something or we come across something, it goes in the donate bag.
Yes.
So when we're ready to load up and take it to donate it, we don't have to worry about getting anything together. It's already together. And that's clothing, shoes,
Yes.
household items. No matter what it is, there's a place for it and it's ready to go. And that's what we want you to think about when it comes to not just tangible things, but our thoughts and our emotions about things that we have limiting beliefs around. You know, again, like we used early on, the old cliche, you can't teach a dog, old dog, new tricks.
Yes.
Not true. You can. Let's get rid of that narrative in our heads because that keeps us a little bit bound. Yes, Dr. Holcomb, the purge is emotional. Yes, not just for you right now, but thank you for sharing that. And it's,
I'm coming back to that one.
yes, it's real for a lot of us.
Yes.
For a lot of us, because it just seems to be the season of consciousness and awareness, self-awareness. If you have any level of growing about you, let me caveat that, because I think that anyone who's looking to grow is doing that introspection. And it's playing on your emotions and things that you thought were true, things that you held firm as a belief. We're peeling back those layers and we're seeing that there are some things that we have to even shift within ourselves, not only for the betterment of ourselves, but also to help others along the way.
Yes.
To see what their possibilities are when they just get rid of that emotional baggage.
Yes. You know, just kind of swinging back to Dr. Holcomb's point about purging. That is something that also, as we came over to a new year, did you have the opportunity to do a purge? Do you still need to do a purge? And again, she mentioned emotional purge. It's like when I talk to people about doing a detox, they want to do a detox, and the first thing we'll talk about is the physical detox. Oh, what can I take for this? What can I take for that? But guess what? When you really understand that the emotional, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual are all connected, you're doing a physical detox without detoxing all the other areas, you're going to be right back where you started.
Absolutely, because it's that Venn diagram. All of that
overlaps. So you want to think about, do I need, and this goes back to the energy level. Again, you've heard me say, I'm just a big believer of everything is connected. All is one and one is all. So when you're going back to that energy level that I spoke about, well, your energy levels are probably down because, like I said, your diet, or it could be, like I said, you'll probably be filled with toxic stuff. And it may not be just physical toxins, it can be mental or emotional. So all that detoxification is really just purging, So it's kind of one and the same. But you got to really look at it. Do I need to change what I'm watching on TV? Do I need to change what I'm listening to? Maybe what I'm reading, who I'm talking to. It could be any of those things. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said regarding the emotional and the physical detox. And as an example, if you've ever watched My 600-Pound Life, individuals who are morbidly obese, they think by getting the surgery, it's going to fix everything in their lives. And, Coach Darren and I talk about my fascination with the show, and it's not about watching obese people. As I explained to him, I like to see when they get to the actual root of what is triggering individuals to basically kill themselves by consuming inordinate amounts of food, even when they know that their life depends on them stopping. And usually the trigger is caused by trauma that they've never talked about, that they've suppressed. And if they don't deal with it, a lot of times you see when they do have the surgery, they eventually gain that weight back. It's not until the successful ones actually deal with the psychological traumas and the toxins that are mentally and emotionally debilitating that they actually make a change in their eating habits and in their lives and in their interactions, in their relationships.
Yeah, that, it touches on something. We're in a society where it really is all about superficial, that everything is about treating the symptoms and not the cause. Our whole healthcare system is built on that. The Western healthcare system is built on, you go in, the doctor may ask you, what's the problem? Oh, it's my blood pressure. Here's a prescription. Your high blood pressure is a symptom. It's not a disease. Same thing with diabetes. These are all symptoms. They're treating the symptoms. So we live in a world where everything's about treating the symptoms and we never get to the cause. And that's just another example. So when you're doing when it comes back to yourself and you're making that change, you're going to have to keep digging deeper. This is where, we talked about that road of self-discovery. And there are, books out there now where you could pretty much, I will guide you through the process of doing, some of the work yourself. If you're not in a position or you don't want to go to a therapist, there are ways of working on yourself. Is it the end all be all?
I like that.
What?
Jesse said, Pastor John used to say you have to change that stinking thinking.
Yeah.
It's true because it's toxic.
Yep.
It's toxic.
So the most important thing at this point is, you got to start. Have you started, which is what we talked about, which was going to be our kind of a focus tonight, was really find out, have people start, have you started, and if you haven't, why do you think you haven't? What's been the cause? And you want to be able to answer those questions truthfully, if it means, I was just lazy, just didn't do it, then say it, because that's part of the process too. That's part of the purging, is purging out the nonsense, the BS, the lies that you've been telling yourself, because we know most of the reasons we don't move forward quite often is really, excuses,
I think we need to find the causal effect, what's really causing us to be stuck in a place. And Tiffany, what's really causing you to hold on to socks that are older than your son? I know it might be, I'm gonna wear those one day. I have an outfit that those will match or what have you, but if the moths haven't eaten them up, good for you. You have a cedar chest or something, get rid of the socks.
Yes.
It'll give you a reason not to pick up a bad habit, but to replace them with new ones. So get rid of the socks.
And again, it's funny because just within the last 2 weeks, I just purged some socks. I had new socks and I held on to these old socks. And here's my mentality, my thinking. Well, you know what? If I'm ever walking around the house in just socks, no flip-flops or anything, I don't want to wear new socks. I'll wear the old ones. But it was just, that excuse just wasn't holding water anymore. And again, in that moment when it's in the front of your mind, you get that little bit of courage to grab them and toss them, put them in the garbage. Yeah. And if you have to, put them deep down in the garbage, put them in the outside. And I always tell people, put them in a place where you will not go back and take them out.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I have a habit of tossing things. I will toss, except for my shoes and my clothes. Now, I will hold on to, Tiffany, I'm teasing you, but I will hold on to clothing because, a lot of times you can repurpose in fashion, it comes and goes. However, like I said, last year, as I was going through my closet, I was like, you know what? Even if the fashion comes back, there's going to be a different stitching. So let me get rid of this. I don't need it, even if I could still wear it. And I had gowns that young ladies could possibly use who can't afford gowns to go to their prom, or maybe even as a bridesmaid, whatever it was, I was blocking somebody's blessing. So I just donated. I donated. And what really got me to donate my shoes was I was out to lunch with Coach Darren and his daughter, walking down the sidewalk, and my heel came completely off of my sandal, and I was wearing wedges. The entire wedge came off, and I hobbled, throughout lunch. And in that moment, I said, from now on, no more shoes. I'm not holding on to shoes for decades, even if they're cute and they're still stylish and it may match an outfit. I'll buy another pair. So purge, because holding on to the old stuff weighs you down.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes you out of the game.
Yeah. And it prevents, it prevents the new from coming in. So you want to make room. So you get rid of the old. And as Coach Mitchell just mentioned, you could be, giving a blessing to someone else. And that's what all of this is about, is again, it'll make you feel better and you can make somebody else feel better. And what else, what more could you ask?
Amen. That's what this life is all about.
Yeah. Now, you might have a short moment of separation anxiety, but you'll get over it quickly. Yeah. Now, after a while, you won't even realize, like I said, I got more space in my drawer now, And I was really bad because my socks didn't even match anymore. And I had new socks sitting right next to them. But I held on to them. Who knows why?
Well, I'm glad you were able to work through that. So, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Any closing remarks for those that are listening before we close out?
Again, two most important, well, I'm going to kind of squeeze three, but two most important is just start. Don't worry about things being in a particular manner. Just start. And you've heard me say this before, you want to standardize before you optimize, because people will spend time trying to get things right. No, you just get into that habit of doing something. That's the standardization. So it becomes a habit. So eventually becomes a lifestyle. Then you refine it. And that's the optimization part. You want to become comfortable asking questions. With areas that you don't know. Reach out, leverage the resources that you have. It's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to be stuck because you don't know.
Absolutely. And, in 2024, there's no reason why any of us shouldn't be commanding more from ourselves.
Yes.
Remember that our opinions really don't matter. It's just good conversation filler, but our opinions really don't matter. We need to make sure that we're committing to growing and learning so that we can pass that knowledge on, like Coach Darren said, to others, because it's going to help someone else live a life that is just surpasses where they are today. So just commit to doing not just your very best, but doing what you can to move forward. And if you need an accountability partner or partners, we're here to support you in that regard. And that, through your actions and unwavering commitment, you can achieve anything that you set out to achieve. And we want to thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
And remember, there will be no next if you do not start now. Or if you do not start now, there will be no next. Have an amazing night. And thanks once again for joining us and for an engaging interaction and discussion.